Welcome, guys, to the $1 Million Case Study Europe Edition. This is session number 20, where we're going to be talking about our UK product launch results. Kim, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. So happy to be back with an update on the case study.
It's been quite a while now. I imagine everyone watching is anxious to hear about how these products have been going, how our progress is to the $1 million milestone, and we're going to talk all about that today.
Awesome. I have some really exciting figures to share.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just dive right into it. I am going to jump over to the slides. Like I said, this is session number 20. And we have a few updates for you guys. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just how the UK product launch went. It was launched at the beginning of this year. We waited a little while to give you guys some updates on it, just so we'd have all the figures so you can see more of like the holistic view of kind of like how it went. We'll also just give you an update on how our whole FBA business is performing in the first quarter of this year, 2018. So, now we have the Jungle Sticks, Jungle Snugs, and Jungle Slumber. So those are our marshmallow sticks, our hooded baby towel, and our sleeping bag. We're going to give you an update on all of those and how they've been performing. We'll also just give you general product updates as well as the future plans. So Kim, tell us a little bit about how your Jungle Slumber launch went.
Awesome. So it launched officially on the 23rd of January. So there were a few delays if anyone was following along. There were a few delays, and then there was the whole Christmas period. So it was a little longer than expected, but we got there in the end and launched on the 23rd of January. So far, we've sold 674 units, individual sleeping bags, with a total of 17,500, that's pounds, UK currency, in revenue. We're actually just about to break even, so like all things accounted for, including like VAT and what we spent on PPC and things like that. We're just about to sort of break even and start making profit on this product, which I think is really good after, it's only a couple of months in. Returns rate is really low, so I'm super happy with that. I put a lot of time into the quality of the product. And we have 24 reviews and counting. We'll take a look at some of those in a minute, but overall, really solid reviews as well.
Yeah, I'll just touch on two things right there. So for one, like this product's only been live now for 2 months, and we've sold 674 units. I think that was as of yesterday, which is really good. That's more than 300 units a month, and that was kind of like always our goal, right? Like 300 units a month, that'd be about 10 a day. I think that's like a great goal for everyone. So we have achieved that goal, and we're doing better than that goal. And I think talking about the break-even thing is an important point, because most people think, okay, as soon as I launch this FBA business, just like day 3, I'm gonna be so rich, I'm gonna quit my job. And it's like, well, this is a real business, and a real business it's not realistic to just start raining in cash like day 2. So what we've always said is on the first shipment, if we can just break even, so that, that includes like our photography, all of our launch, that's like the PPC and the giveaways, all things accounted for. If the first shipment we can just break even, and then we have this listing that's doing well, that's selling well, and that we're profiting on a per unit basis, then for us that's a win. Because remember, like the Jungle Sticks listing now has been going on like a few years, right? So like that first shipment, I probably just broke even, but since then I've been making like lots of money every month for years to come. And that's the same thing with this sleeping bag. So that's an important thing, especially for kind of people just starting out to understand.
Sure. So to dive into the sales, so this information that you see here is from Fetcher. So I've hooked up the UK Seller Central account to Fetcher. So I log into that every day so I can check how things are going, watch those sales coming through the door. It's kind of exciting to log in every day and see how things are going. You can see that like sales have started to increase over time as well since launch, which is really positive. We had a day not too long ago where we sold like 25 units. So the amount of units that I'm selling per day is starting to increase as well. You can see in the initial period, the dark blue parts is where we gave away promotional coupons. So that's where we gave away products at a deep discount to as part of the launch strategy to get things going. I didn't actually have to give away too many initially to get things going, and then after about, I think it was 17 days, the promotions ended, and then the sales just kind of flew from there. So that was really positive.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you'll notice, so like when we're looking at this graph right here, like Kim said, this is out of Fetcher. So there's a lot of benefits of using a tool like Fetcher for your profit analytics as opposed to just the Seller Central dashboard. The Seller Central dashboard is it's a pretty poor tool for sellers to use to really like understand how their business is performing. That's why Fetcher was invented. But the line that you see on this graph, that's our profit line. So as you see, like the first few weeks, it's non-profitable, right? Like there's a few days that we make a little bit of profit, but in general, it's not profitable. And this is because of increased PPC spend to help us get sales. This is because of the promos. Some of those big dips, those are probably when we realize the cost of some of the photography or other things. So like we said, this is why, we spoke about this earlier, but everyone needs to understand that realistically to launch these products, you're going to have to lose money for a few weeks. And then you can see in the past week or two, that's when we've started to become profitable. Like on that one day that we sold 25 units, on that day alone, looks like we made about maybe 250 pounds, which is like what, 350, 400 US dollars in one day of profit. So, the future outlook is very good for this product. We just need to be realistic on how quickly you start making money.
If you missed it, we did cover how we planned to launch this product back in session 15. So if you missed that, you can go and check it out, junglescout.com/million. And that kind of goes over all the different ways that you can launch a product on Amazon. The way that we decided to do this, and this is how we've launched all of our products as part of this case study, is to run some promotions, and then alongside that, do some PPC, sponsored products campaigns. So here you can see, like I did a giveaway on JumpSend. So this is where you create and offer a promotion for your product that's a really deep discount. So you're not going to be making any profit on those. You're probably going to be losing money on the sales of those products where you give them away at a discount, but it helps to get your sales velocity up in the early days because you've got a brand new listing, you need to get it out there, you need to start ranking and start getting those organic sales in. So this is how I launched this product. I also, inside of JumpSend, I also set up some automated emails. So I've basically got my customer support all automated. So I've got a nice sequence of 3 emails that are sent out to every customer to make sure they've got no problems and that they know that they can reach out if they do have any problems. That prevents negative reviews. And also those emails ask for an organic, a review. And so far that's gone really well. Like I said, I am starting to get some reviews on the product. Returns rate is really good. Like I haven't really had many issues on a customer support front, and it's all automated for me. So I only really have to step in if there's a return or if a customer is asking questions about the product.
Right. And so you said you've had 24 reviews with about a little over 600 sales. So that's like that's 4% review rate, which may seem low to some people that like aren't familiar with Amazon, but that's actually pretty good because organically on Amazon without sending follow-up emails, it's between 1 and 2%. So you've essentially at least doubled, but maybe tripled what the organic rate would be of getting reviews by sending out these emails and asking people to leave. So as we all know, reviews are very important on Amazon. That's why I think it's like really important to, these are being sent out through JumpSend. I think it's really important to use a tool like this because if you can double or triple the amount of reviews that you're getting on your product, it's really going to give you a competitive advantage.
Yeah. And, there's other things that I've done with this product to try and increase chances of getting reviews as well, like making sure that I've sourced a really high quality product and getting the quality assurance checked out so that, we're not going to be getting negative reviews. And also, just really nice packaging. On the listing, I've tried to outline all of the sort of the key like benefits of the product to the customer, and really sort of ingrain it into their minds, like, you need this sleeping bag, here's why, here's all the reasons it's great. And then that sort of helps the customers to then, then they'll get this email, and then when they leave their review, oftentimes a lot of that groundwork has been laid by the seller, because you've done all of the right things, you've put all the pieces together, and you've sent them a really standout product that they're really happy with. So all in all, I feel like that part of the launch has gone really well so far, and I'm like quite pleased with the progress on that front.
Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about PPC. You mentioned that you've been running PPC since the beginning to launch this product. You're still currently running it. How's that been going so far?
It's been going really well. So, the campaigns have been set up, and again, like if you missed it, we did sort of lay out how to do this in session 16, so you can go and check back on that. But we set up some automatic campaigns, and then from that we found some search terms that people were using to find the product, and then created some manual campaigns and have been optimizing them on an ongoing basis. So I would say that we've gone in fairly strong with the PPC, because we want to get those sales in right off the bat from launching. But it is only like 2 months in, and I think, as this graph shows, we're approaching the break-even point. So that means the point at which we're not losing any money per product sold.
Yeah, and again, this is I think this is very typical of a successful product launch. So another good thing for people to understand, if you look like in the first month in January, our ACoS, that's the advertising cost of sale, was about 100%. So that means, our product, let's just say sells for 25 pounds. That means we're spending 25 pounds on PPC to sell 1 unit. That's obviously not profitable. But by doing that and losing a little bit of money up front, we were getting sales, which then leads to organic ranking. We were also collecting data, through Amazon's PPC system. So this was showing us what keywords people are searching through and landing on our product. And it was also giving us data about what keywords would be profitable for us to bid on and get sales from. So that's why over time, this is improving. The first month it was about 100%. Looks like the second month was maybe like 60%. That's kind of hard to tell from that graph. And then right now, like Kim took the screenshot, she was hovering over that last bar. It's at 37%, which is good. We can still improve a little bit, because like she said, the 35% break even, that means that 35% of every sale is what our profit margins would be. So right now we're still spending all of our profit margins on the PPC. So the items that we're selling, through the PPC clicks, we're about breaking even. We're not really making any money. We're not really losing any money. But this graph will continue to go down so that, our PPC sales are profitable, just like our organic sales.
And that's kind of on average as well, like across the campaigns. So some perform better than others, some keywords perform better than others. And that is something that, over time, and it does take time for that data to sort of accumulate, so you know what is performing well and what isn't, and then you can readjust and optimize accordingly. As you move away from the launch, you can then start to optimize and make some decisions on which keywords to spend the most money on, and so on. So I think as things go, Greg, that's pretty good to get to like almost at the break-even point with the PPC in such a short space of time, right?
Yeah, I think that is good. And that's very realistic too, like really optimizing your PPC takes months and months to do, right? Because for one, like the data is delayed. Second of all, there's only so many sales in any given day. So like when there's only maybe for one particular keyword, there's only like one sale, right? But your click or your bid price was really low. So like the ACoS looks like it's really good for that product. And it's like, but in reality, like over time, once you get more sales through that particular search term, that's going to change. So like, yeah, optimizing your PPC on Amazon is something that happens over months, not over days or weeks. You want to talk to us a little bit about how the reviews are going so far?
Yeah, I just threw in two examples here. It's worth saying that like the overall rating is 4.7 out of 5 stars. There's just a couple of outliers. So most of all, like really positive, really nice reviews. There've just been a couple where I think like luck of the draw, someone's had a couple of items that happen to be faulty. So, but it is still really good feedback for me to have as a seller so that I can go back to the supplier who I actually have formed a really good relationship with and who's super keen to hear feedback from me on these kinds of things. So yeah, there was a few things that I think we might change for the next order, like moving the label so there's an internal label in the sleeping bag. Some people have said that it's kind of irritating because it's near where your face is when you sleep, so we can move that. You know, there's some really simple things that we can just adjust slightly to prevent this from happening to other customers in the future.
That is good feedback.
I'm going to go back to my like initial projections and some of the goals that I sort of set out with Greg's help before launching this product. And that was to launch in the UK for the new year, which almost did. Be competitive for the keyword mummy sleeping bag. So that was one of the top keywords specific to this particular type of sleeping bag that I wanted to rank for, and work towards generating 5K in revenue per month in sort of the first 5 months. And so to take a look at how did I do. So did launch slightly late, but it wasn't too bad. Bit of perseverance, we got there. Ranking, so for that particular keyword, I'm on the first page, but still have some work to do. Like I would like to rank a little bit higher. I think last time I checked, it was like fluctuating between 7th and 8th position for that keyword. So still have a bit of work to do there. The last 30 days of revenue, so obviously it's sort of increased exponentially, but the last 30 days of revenue was 12K, so that's really positive. Like the majority of the units sold were sold in that past 30-day period. And some other wins as well was getting good reviews, super low return rates, PPC campaigns performing really well, like we just discussed. And BSR, the ranking for the product is looking really good as well. So overall, I'd say there's a few things, a bit of work to do, a few tweaks here and there, but overall, I'm pretty happy with the success of the launch and feel like I have a good grasp on what needs to be done to move the needle in the future.
Excellent. Yeah, congratulations, by the way. I mean, this is it always worries me when we're publicly launching these products, right? Because a lot of people copy us and launch the same product at the same time, so it makes things much harder. So it's always man, I know this product would do really well if if we weren't doing this publicly and people weren't all just copying us at the same time. But I'm always I don't know how it's going to do with all the rest of that competition. But I mean, it's doing really well. Last 30 days, almost 500 sales. That's pretty awesome. And that's with a bunch of new competitors in there who did just copy us, right? So I mean that's pretty sweet. Congratulations.
Thanks. I thought we could take a look at the competitive landscape here, Greg.
Yeah, my last comment rolls nicely into this.
Yeah, so I think, like I said, I think there's things to do, but I'd be really keen to sort of get your thoughts on this as well. So this is a recent screenshot from the extension for the mummy sleeping bag keyword is what I used to find the results page. So
yeah, so it looks right, right now it looks like we're at the number 9 spot for mummy sleeping bag. Of course, I'm sure that moves maybe sometimes 10, sometimes 7 or 8 or whatever else. I guess some of my thoughts, just looking at the Jungle Scout data here, is for one, our BSR is really good, right? We're the third best BSR here. They're all in sports and outdoors. So the top one is the number 6, the Viking Trek. The next best is that Active Era in the number 2 spot. Then we're the third best at 750 on all the sports and outdoors category, which is really good. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, well, like, why are we ranked like more poorly than some of these others, even though like it's selling better? My hypothesis for this, my guess is like, we do know that one of the factors that Amazon takes into account is like the historical sales or historical sales velocity for certain products. So just the fact that we've only been on the market for a much shorter amount of time kind of like hurts us a little bit in the rankings, but I think over time that will go up. So I think that's like one of the things. We are at a little bit of a higher price point, right? I think there's only one other sleeping bag higher than us. Um, we could do some testing with that to see if we dropped it like, 1 or 2 pounds, if we could move up in the ranking, because that is something that Amazon says they do take into account on their search rankings.
The Viking Trek one is probably our nearest like for like competitor, so maybe we could look at pricing compared to them as a benchmark.
Yeah. And then I guess like over time, just as we accumulate more reviews, like right now we're tied for the lowest number of reviews of this whole page. So as we accumulate more reviews, our conversion rate should improve a little bit, which will improve our search ranking as well. Like a lot of our competitors, 200 reviews, 500 reviews, 170 reviews. If I was a consumer and I saw someone who had 516 reviews with 4.5 stars, or us 23 reviews with 4.5 stars, I'd probably be more likely to go with the one with like a higher number of views. So I think with time, I'm confident that this will improve, just because we'll get more sales and more sales velocity. The one thing we could probably test is like testing some different price points to see if that really moves the needle for us or not. And like Profit Peak does a great job of that. That's one of the features inside of Splitly. It helps adjust the price for you, and it keeps track of like, where you're ranking at, your conversion rate, how well the sales are. So we might decide that, hey, like if we knocked off like 1 pound or 2 pounds, would make less profit per unit, but we're selling that much more that we still end up with more profit like per day. At the end of the day, I guess that's what we are after. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts around it.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
You want to talk to us a little bit about your learning. So for those of you who maybe are jumped in late, this is the first time Kim has sold anything on Amazon. This is her first product launch. I'm sure when you were starting off, all this was very overwhelming and potentially scary for you. So yeah, give us a little insight of like what you've learned through this.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely was like, as the first time through the whole process, there was definitely some learning curves, and there was also a few roadblocks. But to be honest, like none of it was anything that wasn't easy to overcome. Sometimes it got a little bit frustrating. You had to take a step back and it'll be fine. Like all progress is progress, right? So sometimes it's just a little bit of perseverance and, figuring out the best way to move forward, and just making sure that like the end goal is always in sight. So yeah, it was a lot to learn, but it was not as difficult as I expected when I initially started. Getting the item in stock and getting those sales coming in as soon as possible is the most important factor. I know you always preach this, Greg, but when it actually happened and when I launched the product and I started to see the sales coming in, it became so obvious, like watching those sales grow over time and seeing the launch strategy that I had in place unfold. Like the sooner you get in, the earlier you are, you'll beat other competitors that may also be looking to enter your niche. So there were some roadblocks, but as long as you keep at it and get there like as soon as possible, then so the only way is up from there. Upfront investment pays off. So you've touched on this quite a lot in this session, but I think it is really important for new sellers particularly to understand that there is some upfront investment, and like you said, Greg, it's not just immediate sales and loads of money coming in. You do have to put a little bit of money behind it in the first few months. And then the whole process just feels 10 times easier the second time round. Like, when I'm looking at it again or ordering more inventory, or, if anybody asks me a question about a certain part of this journey, like it all makes sense now. Like once you've done it once, it all comes together. So it's really easy to replicate. You know, I could go out there and find another product and launch it, and you know, I already know all of those steps now. So it's kind of empowering actually, because
Yeah.
you know, you've learned something that's really powerful in,
Right.
you know, with one cycle. And yeah.
Yeah. And, I'd say that, now that like you've had this experience, you've launched this product, what I always tell people is like, even if this product ended up being a dud but like you did just like recoup your money, or maybe you lost like $500 on it or something, like the learning experience that you just learned from actually launching your own product is there's just lots of like fine little pieces that, we try to go in as much depth as we can with the $1 million case study, but there's still just like little pieces that, you don't quite understand until you actually go through it. Right. So, yeah, then once you launch it, then it's like, wow, like I could easily do like 100 of these, right? I just need a whole bunch of cash.
I got this.
Yeah, I got this. Right on. So what are the next steps? How can you continue to improve upon this product?
So optimizing PPC is a big one. So although it's important to invest early, it's also important to keep working on your PPC and make sure that you are making money on each sale that you put advertising spend behind. So that's a big priority for me. As you mentioned, setting up Splitly and optimizing listings. So my thought is to turn on Profit Peak, because that's sort of a set it and forget it. It uses machine learning, keeps the price of my product optimized on a continuous basis. And then I'm also going to use Splitly to optimize the listing itself as well. So run some split tests on different elements of the product listing. Back when I was looking at the Chrome extension there, I think my listing got a listing quality score of 8, which is pretty good. But one of the competitors has a 9, and I want
Okay.
at least a 9.
Well,
So yeah.
room for improvement.
So of course, these things are always kind of a moving feast, and just because your listing is good when you launch doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good and make you stand out from the crowd like 6 months from when you've launched. So it's always important to revisit that too. Work on trademarks and brand registry. So, the trademark process, it does take a little while to get through it, but then once you have a trademark, you can enter the brand registry and get enhanced brand content, which is just a bit of a better way to present your product listing with images in the description and so on. So that's kind of like something that can go on behind the scenes whilst the sales are still coming in, because obviously you don't have to join brand registry. It's not a requirement. So, it made sense for me to get launched and then figure that kind of stuff out later on. And then, like I mentioned earlier, there's just a few small product improvements that I'm hoping to make for the next order as well.
Awesome. So the case study revenue to date, as you guys know, this is the $1 million case study. We're on our goal to do $1 million in revenue. We're donating all the profits from that $1 million in revenue to Pencils of Promise to build schools in underprivileged countries around the world. So far, our revenue is up to about $530,000. So we've passed over the halfway mark. At this point, we have a few options. One would just be kind of wait it out. And in another year or so, maybe year and a half, I don't know, we'll kind of see how things go into the future. We'd probably hit that $1 million. If we want to accelerate this, we could of course add new products. We can continue to optimize these products so that they do better. So we are well on our way to $1 million, and we're not stopping. We're keeping these products up on Amazon. They're continuing to make sales every day, and our revenue's only growing over time. You'll see we put a few highlights at the bottom there. In 2016, we did 191,000. Last year, 2017, we did 268,000. So that was 2016 was only the marshmallow sticks. 2017, I think about half the year was only the marshmallow sticks. The other half of the year, it was the Jungle Snugs hooded baby towels as well. So we had kind of 2 products at the end of last year. And the start of this year, now we have 3 products, and the revenue is growing faster than it has before, as you would expect. So Hopefully by the end of this year, hopefully we do 300,000, maybe 350,000. We'll see. Q1's like the slowest time for our marshmallow sticks, and I think it's kind of slow for our hooded baby towels as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how the kind of like the rest of the year plays out. But if we could do like 350,000 this year, that'd be pretty exciting, and that would mean that we would hit our $1 million goal maybe like the middle of 2019, which is great. So we'll see. This is a constantly evolving project, and we'll kind of like see where the rest of the year takes us. So yeah, if we talk a little bit about the Q1 results, Kim covered how her product, the Jungle Slumber sleeping bag, has done in quarter 1 of this year, Q1. We want to give you a little bit of an update on how our other 2 products are doing. So Jungle Sticks, these are our bamboo marshmallow sticks. They did about $18,000 in revenue in the first quarter. January and February are the 2 slowest months of the year for these marshmallow sticks. I guess that's when it's freezing cold outside for most people. Not many people are cooking marshmallows. The spring, summer, and fall times when those do best. So they're off to a little bit of a slow start, but still 770 units. And this actually isn't all of Q1. This is a few days short because we took this screenshot, I think, on the 25th. But so they're running about a 30% profit margin of that $18,000 in revenue. So they're doing nice. Our Jungle Snugs, they've sold 1,300 units so far in Q1. So they're doing well. There are 4 different variations. We have a white one, a blue one, a pink one, a gray one. The pink one's the best performing one. Performed so well that we're actually out of stock at the moment. I think the white one is now our worst performing. It did really well at the beginning, but we probably had like 20, 30, maybe 40 people just copy that product straight up. So there's like 40 listings of like pretty much the exact same hooded baby towel, just because like people following the case study thinks it's a good idea to just copy our products. So the white one's the worst performing. We might not even reorder it. And then the gray and the blue, they both do pretty well. But the pink one's doing the best. So, but yeah, I mean, less than 3 months, 1,300 units. That's pretty dang good. That's what, like 450 units per month, which is strong. Yeah, and you can see this is a graph taken out of Fetcher about our daily sales and profit. We wanted to show this because I wanted to call 2 things out that you'll see 2 big dips. There was like on January 2nd and roughly like February 1st. These are when we were hit with with storage fees from Q4. So this is an important lesson, and to be honest, we kind of neglect this account at Jungle Scout. Like, I don't really take care of it. Like all of us are really like focused on like our software all the time. This is just like a little case study. So to be honest, it gets neglected. No one's really kind of like owned it. We didn't do the best like inventory forecasting and management. So we had too many units in stock in Q4. And because of that, we had to pay over $3,000 in storage fee, which is abnormally high. So that did take a big, it did take a hit, to our profits in Q1. But we learned from it, and that's right. It's still a profitable quarter, and it's a mistake that hopefully we don't make again in the future. Speaking about the future, why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Kim?
Yeah, so as Greg said, a lot of us are very busy, focused on Jungle Scout and our software. But our very own Frosty is taking over. She's already working on managing the inventory and the listings for our jungle products, if you will. Some of you may have already met Frosty. She does appear on our videos and on our social media and so on. So, you can expect to hear from her on like updates of how things are going in the future. A few things that are going on is like ordering more inventory because, out of stock and so on. Ordering jungle sticks in the next month to prepare for that big season of sales that's coming up in the spring. So yeah, I'm really excited and looking forward to seeing, what Frosty can do to improve our sales and update you guys with what's going on with this project.
Yeah, totally. And really, even with just a little bit of love, we can actually do quite better in this account too. Because like I said, it's been neglected if we're being honest with ourselves. So there's a lot of little things we can do to really tweak this and make it. I mean, all the products are still doing well, even pretty much like just with people forgetting about them, then just running on autopilot. But with a little bit of love, I'm confident that Frosty can get these actually perform even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, we sure you guys have a lot of questions about kind of like what else we're up to. If you followed along with the $1 Million Case Study in 2017, we were doing essentially weekly updates for all of 2017. We're not launching a new product right now, but we might shortly. We do have a few other cool projects going on. One is called the Genius Series. You can find that on our website. Just go to junglescout.com, look under the free resources and find the Genius Series. Kim, do you want to give everyone a quick update of what the Genius Series is?
Yeah, so we actually surveyed you, our audience and sellers, to figure out, what the most difficult challenges are that you face, things that you want to know about, things you want to learn more about in more detail, maybe some more advanced stuff. We got tons of responses. We tallied up all of those results, and we're effectively sharing like really insightful content on all of those things that you told us you wanted to learn more about. So we already have a whole bunch of stuff to do with product research and product marketing on Amazon as well. Some super insightful stuff. So yeah, make sure you check it out.
Yes, we have tons of new content coming out, guys, to help you. Even though we're not launching a new product, the $1 Million Case Study now, we think a lot of this new content is just as helpful or more helpful than what the $1 Million Case Study has been. And we're continuing to grow those sales in the $1 Million Case Study, so we haven't given up on it either. We might even launch a new product later this year. We just don't know for sure yet. So the Genius Series is a tremendous resource of fresh content coming out every single week. We're also launching a podcast. It's called Go Pitch Win. We've already recorded the first dozen episodes. Go Pitch Win is a very, very fun and exciting podcast. We're having real guests come on the show. They pitch their business or product idea to myself and another judge. At the end of each season, one person selected for a $10,000 cash prize for them to invest in their business. So if you're interested in either being on the show, pitching your business idea, or just want to learn more about Go Pitch Win and find the episodes, you can do so at junglescout.com/podcast. With all that being said, guys, we just want to say thank you very much. We appreciate you tuning in to the $1 Million Case Study, following along the $1 Million Case Study with us, watching our account grow and our sales grow. And as we make more money to donate to Pencils of Promise, build these schools in underprivileged countries, it's a very exciting thing to be a part of for Kim and myself. We really appreciate you guys following along as well. Kim, do you have any last things you want to tell the audience?
No, I think that's it, other than maybe go and check out my sleeping bags. And if you're ever in the UK, go and buy one.
Good call. If you're in the UK, then Kim has some great sleeping bags for sale. If you guys like this content, like what we're putting out, we would love it if you could subscribe on YouTube or give us the thumbs up if you're tuning in on Facebook or on YouTube. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll do our best to come back and answer each and every one of those. So with that being said, I think we will wrap it up for the day, Kim. Have a tremendous day and afternoon, and I will see you later.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, bye.